So we're going to have a look at something that appeared today in the newspaper and has been doing the rounds really since this morning, since it came out. But of course, it is what we have been seeing, and the polls have very clearly been indicating it, that a lot of people are regretting their decision to vote for Brexit. And most in particular, there's a bit of, you can understand sort of where this guy is coming from. We always said that not everyone who voted for Brexit did so for racist reasons. There was a lot of misinformation put out by the Leave campaign, so deliberately saying that, look, if we vote to leave, nothing's going to change. So, you've got nothing to lose by, voting for us. We're going to stay in the single market. We're going to stay in the customs union. We're going to hold all the cards in all these negotiations. Well, regardless of, this vote, hey, if you vote to leave, well, guess what? Nothing will change. After all, the German car industry is not going to risk losing the British market. Meanwhile, almost instantaneously after the vote, the German car manufacturing industry came out and said, no, thank you. We're all right. We like the single market. Thank you very much. And people have been realizing this. People have been realizing that, yes, they were absolutely conned, that they were sold a false bill of goods. And you cannot keep this lie that Brexit was about everything. It was a complete amorphous blob. Brexit was about trade until it wasn't about trade. It was about immigration until it wasn't about immigration. It was about opportunity. It was about opportunity. It was about global Britain. And it was about global Britain. But we're just going to have a quick look at this, and then we're going to have a quick discussion about the tactics of putting stuff like this out, because I think this is very, very important. So, before we just go quickly looking over this, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a notification link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can all buy me coffee. And of course, as always, there is the YouTube thank you button. There is the Pony Club. Thank you very much to everyone who does support the channel. Even if you do, just click the like and share button. Like I say, it all helps. So, like I say, thank you very much to everyone who does support the channel. So, what is this all about? Well, it's sort of setting out someone who is regretting their decision to vote for leave. And he puts it out very simply like this. In his very succinct way, I'm sort of, cutting it down. Of course, you can go read the full article yourselves. But he essentially says, look, the reason why I voted to leave was very simple. I saw my son struggling at college, and I thought what he really needs is not an academic traditional learning path. What he needs is a apprenticeship. And with an apprenticeship, he can learn a trade, he can learn a skill, and regardless of whatever happens, he can go on and use that particular skill. Now, of course, he was very happy that Boris Johnson said at the time, oh, well, we'll put more money into skilling up our own people. Of course, that hasn't happened. The apprenticeship system, if you talk to anyone in apprenticeships, they will openly say it's a complete mess. All the apprenticeships go to big companies, which don't really need the apprentices, nor do they keep them on more than a very small percentage of the amount of apprenticeships that they do take on, and use them more for the tax break. The fact that, under the apprenticeship scheme currently, the government pays like half the wages of this person. So, of course, a big multinational company is going to do that. But it shouldn't be going to these big multinational companies. It should be going to SMEs, because they are the ones who need the apprentices. They are the ones who are more willing to take people on, to train people up, to really give them a good job after, and it will keep them on. And they know it. But because all these apprenticeships pretty much get sucked up by the big, massive companies, there's nothing left for them to take on in those programs. Because remember, there's only so much apprenticeships actually available that the government provides. So the apprenticeship scheme itself is a massive problem. Like I say, Boris Johnson didn't really go and sort it out either. And he even admits that he himself now knows that that the Brexiteers never had a plan, and we discussed that at length all the time on this chat on this channel. Uh, the Brexiteers never had a plan. They were the proverbial dog who caught the ambulance. They're like, you've spent all this time chasing it, and now they don't know what to do with it. They've even argued amongst themselves for the fact that they cannot decide what to actually do with Brexit now. And now you've got this hardcore that still thinks, no, 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 we need to double down even more on Brexit, even more. We need to Brexit even harder. And luckily, they are very, very quickly being ostracized. So we'll see what happens in the future, but it is good. Like I say, we'll talk about sort of the tactically what this really means. I think putting stuff out like this is good because you've got to make people feel not alone. That people are going to sort of recognize this as, oh, I felt that's why I voted for Brexit as well. I voted to leave because I believed wrongly, or thought rightly at the time that what Nigel Farage and well, not Nigel Farage, but what Boris Johnson and Michael Gove were saying, and all those other leavers were saying that we're going to invest in the UK. That this is what Brexit is going to mean. That we're going to invest in the UK, and it's going to be good. But of course, that's not what they wanted. As we always explain, these Brexiteers were free market fundamentalists. They have no interest in investing in the UK. That's why they always talked about, importing, bringing in cheaper imports. Even Jacob Rees-Mogg talked about that very briefly at 2016, but it wasn't the big key focus point on it because, like I say, we all know what happened to Patrick Minford the second he started, so to say, telling the truth about what the Brexiteers wanted to do during Brexit. He was quickly, shall we say, rolled into a corner and very, very rarely actually ever seen. The only Brexiteer who, well, give him some credit, actually told the truth about what Brexiteers wanted to do because of Brexit, which was, well, an ultimate eventual destruction of the British economy as we know it, to turn it into some sort of Singapore free market, low tax, low regulation paradise. And if you look at Singapore, well, if you really want to model Singapore, Singapore owns 80% of its industries. All its industries pretty much are 80% nationalized. I don't see the Brexiteers jumping on the bandwagon saying, "Oh yes, we're going to become like Singapore on the Thames, so we're going to go this massive path of nationalization." Oh, of course not, because that's not what they mean. They talk once again about this fantasy land of Brexit and a country they know nothing about, but sounds good in practice, and people are now realizing that. And there was actually an interesting a quote I saw from someone. And it was, we'll take 10 years to Brexit, 10 years to regret it, 10 years to rejoin. And to be honest, it took us, 6 years to Brexit, 3 years to regret it, because to be honest, I think we're speed running. And like I say, putting stuff like this out does help in this. I really do think we're speed running the regret part. And then it is probably, let's face it, going to take us roughly about a decade or so to probably rejoin the EU. Certainly, become full members, but rejoining the single market customs union is going to be probably the easiest part because it's easy just to sign a big alignment bill. Like I say, we've done it before. There's nothing to stop us doing it again. Like I say, Labour has said it wants to sign alignment deals and do agreements and things like that. So excellent. That's our way back in, as I said before. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But putting stuff like this out is good. It helps. It makes people realize that, oh, actually, it's okay to say that you regretted leaving and to openly admit it, because not everyone who did so for racist reasons. The guy here in the article says he worked at an airport loading cargo, and even said, they did 26,000 tons of cargo like the day before the Brexit vote, and then almost immediately afterwards he talked about how that volume of cargo just fell off a cliff and has never recovered. So, like I say, it will happen slowly, surely. But things like this, and I think encouraging people who do regret their vote to sort of speak out, and I think it is our responsibility um, as sort of remainers slash rejoiners to encourage these people, and when we do so, not to disparage them in genuine any sort of way that they've now changed their mind. We should welcome them into the fold and say, "Excellent, here's the flag." You know, it might have taken you a while to realize that, but join with us, my friend. The fight back to rejoin, starts with that, and it does, as we've always said, encouraging people like this to rethink their vote. So it is a good decision. It is a good decision, and I'm glad we are seeing stuff like this. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, and of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.